Hey everyone! My name is Ben, and you're listening to a daily dose of English. This is a short, simple podcast that you can listen to every day to improve your English. You can find the transcripts for all episodes and more on benslanguagelab.com. I'm glad you could make it today. In this episode, we're going to be talking about music lessons. This is a viewer suggested topic. Somebody saw listened to my episode on, I think it was playing music, the piano, and they asked me to talk about music lessons in the U.S. because they said that in their country they sometimes have music lessons, but either they don't really get taught music, or nothing actually happens, or they're just bad. And so I thought I'd share my experience with various kinds of music lessons coming from the US, because that might be interesting. I don't know. So I've always had music as part of my schooling pretty much since the third grade. So no, that's not true. Even more. Yeah. So yeah, thinking about it, I don't think there was a ton in preschool. I really don't remember that much about preschool though, so I could be wrong. And then going to elementary school, we didn't really have like specific music classes, but I do remember like a sort of a dance music movement class thing. I think we mostly just it was sort of like another kind of physical exercise with music. Learning a little bit about that. We were still pretty young, so it's really hard to teach young. It's hard to teach young kids that sort of thing. But I remember, because that's where I got a really big black eye. A black eye is where you if you get punched or hit in your sort of around your eye area, it's a very sensitive part of your body, and you can get a huge bruise on your eye. And so if you get a black eye, it's very obvious, right? It's a big like bruise around your eye. And I was in that class and I fell and I smacked my face on the edge of a bench. And there's a whole summer that I had just a big old black eye for lots and lots of pictures. And it was another good word for that is called a shiner. If you get it as somebody has a shiner, it's because you have a big old black eye. So I had some music education there, but not much. But then I changed schools for third grade and on, and music was a pretty large part of education. Not huge, but like it was also not. It was probably about the same size as like Spanish, for example. We learned to play the recorder in school. A recorder is like a small flute-like instrument. Probably just look it up. It's going to be easier. But they're relatively simple to play and to learn, but they have a very high skill ceiling, right? It's an actual instrument. You can get really good at it. They are hard, but like to start with, it's good for kids, right? We did that relatively often. We learned how to play the recorder, to play some basic songs, a little bit about music, not much. And we also had singing at some point. I remember because our singing teacher was a very strange character. I wonder how he's doing. I bet he's a lot more normal if you're an adult, but as a child, he was a little bit of a strange guy. Yeah, we had singing for a bit. We also there was some violin at near the end of that school. When I sort of probably like in 6th or 7th grade or something like that, we had the option to take violin. Only like 6 or 7 of us in the class did it, maybe even fewer, because I think it was I think it was just because a teacher kind of wanted to teach it. It was like we could do either singing or choir. It was called choir. We could do choir or violin, and I decided to take violin. And so I learned a little bit about violin. I'm very good. I can make notes, but it was not like that productive. We definitely learned some things, right? I think that's a big difference, is that we definitely learned some things and had some basics, and like I remember some stuff from those classes, but definitely nobody became a master or anything like that. In high school, It's completely optional, but in my high school, there was choir, there was band, and there was guitar at a certain point. So a lot of kids are in band, but that's kind of like a kind of person you are is like a band kid. Same with choir. So I had a lot of friends that were in choir or in band, and they often connected with the theater department. So if you're in a pretty big high school, you're going to have lots of these different things, these different activities. There's also like dance team. There's a whole dance team, which was pretty cool. Was there any more other music stuff? Yeah. But the class I took was guitar. That was a new class in my freshman year. I think my freshman year of high school. They started offering guitar. And it was taught by a local guitar professional. He's a very good guitar player. Kind of a pretty funny teacher because he's not like a traditionally trained teacher or anything like that. And the class was quite popular. A lot of people wanted to play guitar. And so the classes were huge. And we only really learned some basics. I had been learning and playing guitar on my own, so I was already far past what the class taught. But it was still a fun time to go hang out. I had some friends in that class. We would learn some basics, learn some songs, and then we get the rest of the class to like learn on our own, which was actually pretty cool. So I definitely enjoyed that class, even though it wasn't that productive. It was nice to have some time to just kind of play music and hang out. That's all the music like in school that I had, but it's also quite common for kids to take music lessons extracurricularly. Extracurricularly? I think that's right. An extracurricular is basically outside of school. So extra, right? Additional or outside or whatever it is. And then curricular, or which comes from the same root as curriculum, which is what is going to be taught in a class. So, excuse me. So on your first day of a class, you might get the curriculum. They might give you a whole list of what you're going to learn that year. And so this is the curriculum. We're going to cover this, and this. Done. So extracurricular music lessons are like taking piano lessons with a different teacher. And that's what I started doing that from a relatively young age. I don't remember how old I was, but I started taking piano lessons. And it's very common for piano lessons to be done more informally in somebody's home. So I remember I had music lessons with somebody named Jerry. She was a kind of not super old lady, but she was like a little bit old, a little bit cranky piano teacher. And I learned a lot of basics with that. We covered some basics, learned some songs, that kind of thing. Then at a certain point, I stopped doing that because I started doing more like soccer and other extracurriculars that weren't music necessarily. I did a little bit on my own, but then also in Portland, where I grew up, there is this really cool music school called Ethos Music School, Ethos School of Music, something like that. And it is, I believe it's nonprofit music school for lots of different kinds of people. And it's a really cool kind of school for learning how to play music. And I took some lessons there with guitar, with piano. My parents were very supportive of me trying out instruments because, especially at like Ethos, you can rent instruments, or they have them available there, that kind of thing. I also did the rock band program, not very long. That's where they put you in a group of a couple of other students, and you sort of form a little band with the help of a teacher. Very cool program. It ended up not being for me. I tried it a couple of times, even when I was older, and it really never worked for me. Not really a band person. But then my favorite music teacher that we found was this guy named Sean. I don't remember how my parents found him, but he was this sort of like hippie-esque, vagrant kind of guy. Very talented musician, incredibly talented musician. He can play every single instrument. His music is in his entire life. He basically spends no money, lives as cheaply as possible, and just goes and travels and plays music as much as he can. And this teaching that he did is all he would do. He wouldn't take money for it. What he would do is he would come to our home and we'd have dinner together. That was the payment. I think maybe a little bit of money. I'm pretty sure it wasn't much at all. But he just wanted to like be there, have dinner, hang out with the family, right? And usually when you have like a nice full home cooked meal, right? That is worth something. And then he would play music with us. And so we'd get to do whatever we wanted. We'd play around. He'd bring in some fun instruments, or we'd play with the instruments that we had there. And it was a lot more exploratory about what we wanted to learn. And it was a really, really cool experience, because he's also genuinely just a very good person, very interesting. He invited us to his music shows, all sorts of things. So that was really cool to have available as a young person, musician, whatever you want to say. And that's actually also the skill that I still have from those lessons. Is there's a Monty Python skit called Gibberish, and it's where they speak and they just say absolute gibberish, but they make it sound kind of like they're having a conversation. And he knew that whole sketch. And so for a while, I was like, I want to learn that sketch. And so instead of learning music, we started learning the skit. And I still have like the beginning memorized. It's like it's burned into my memory. And what happens is there's two guys on stage, and it's like they're having an interview, but they're just saying random words. But they have the joke is that it's like ham sandwich, bucket of water, plastic, Duralex, Robin McFisher's underwear, scrubbed rapid emulsions, zinc custard without sustenance, geriatric scenery, maximizes press insulated government grunting sapphire clubs incidentally. But tonight, Sampan Bombay Bermuda, in diphtheria rustic McAlpine splendor. They're also speaking a British accent, so it sounds even funnier. Rapid and fut-fut fooey jugs, rapid the big bar rule on his musk green gauges mixturate with nipples and tiptoe rustic machinery, rustically inclined. Good evening and welcome. Great sketch. Look it up. Very funny. And it goes, hello, saddlebag. Just great comedy, I would say. Very funny. I probably should keep learning that. I still have some of it in there, but it's definitely harder than it was. I used to be better at it, with the more accurate pronunciation and diction. But anyways, so that is my roundup of music lessons. I think that I'm very grateful that I had music lessons growing up, and I will certainly be having my children take music lessons and being more exploratory with it. Even though I'm not a musician, I think that it's very important to have that sort of experience and to learn about music and to learn to play things, because it is a almost universal form of art as we are as people. And I think I mentioned this in my recent episode talking about music, but I sort of miss that I don't play much music anymore. And mostly because I don't have good instruments here. When I have instruments available that I like to play, I play them. The only musical instrument I have in my apartment is my harmonica, but I don't really play the harmonica. It's hard, but also cool. It's just not my instrument. I don't know. It's every so often I'll break it out and play something, but yeah. However, I did ask my parents to bring something. They're coming to visit me next week. And so I asked them to bring one of the ukuleles that we have in the house. We have this really cool 8-string ukulele. So a ukulele typically has 4 strings, and but this one has 8, so it's doubled up. There's 2 for each note, and it sounds a lot fuller, richer. It's actually a really nice instrument. And they don't play music, and so I was like, hey, can I have it? I would love to have something to play. If I could have a guitar here, I'd probably want to play that more. But like I said in the piano episode, the piano is my favorite, and I would really like to get some kind of keyboard or something to play on to have. I don't know. I really like pianos and that experience of playing the piano. So yeah. Anyways, this has become a long episode of me rambling about music and music lessons. But the last thing I want to say is that if you are an adult, if you've never played an instrument before, you can still learn. It's it's not too late. You can still have fun with it. You don't have to be a professional, right? It's a lot like going to the park to like play soccer with your friends or to shoot some hoops at the basketball court. You don't have to be a professional to enjoy this kind of thing. You don't have to be a professional volleyball player to enjoy playing volleyball on the beach, or a professional writer to enjoy writing little things or poems or whatever it is. And so, yes, it's hard as a beginner because you want to be better, but if you put some time into it and you actually genuinely want to learn, you can learn to do things and to be happy with your progress. Just put time into it, right? That's the big thing for music and playing music. A lot of it is muscle memory, which does come down to practice and time. And so try to find a couple things that you enjoy doing, practice doing them, and you will get better over time. It takes patience, that dedication, and also just a bit of flow. Don't try to be too rigid with it, and really try to enjoy it, because playing music is really cool. And even if you're way worse than all of the music you ever listened to, that's still cool. I don't know. But anyways, that's all I got for today. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Maybe learn a little something about culture in the US and whatnot. If you took music lessons, I'd love to hear how that went down in the comments below. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.